تمطى أولى لك فأولى ثم أولى لك فأولى أيحسب الإنسان أن يترك سدى ألم يكن نطفة من مني يمنى ثم كان علقة فخلق فسوى فجعل منه الزوجين الذكر والأنثى أليس ذلك بقادر على أن يحيي الموتى صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. Sorry. Jazakallah khair, Brother Abdurrahman, for a very beautiful recitation. Now let's start the introductory session. For that, I would like to invite Sister Sala.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. We are on the fourth IPD session, and alhamdulillah, it's been almost a whole month since we began this journey. And we are very happy to welcome all of you to today's session. And thank you for your time and your presence. Jazakallah khair. Today's session will be on the topic Contemplation, Path to Psycho-Spiritual Cognition. Now, before we start the session, I request all of you to keep a book ready and take notes for future reference. And please don't scroll through your social media while attending the session. Purify your intentions, sharpen your ears, and listen in. We hope the session will be very beneficial to each and every one of you, inshallah. Without taking up more of your time, I welcome Brother Wafi Shihad to begin the session. Over to you, brother. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah khairan for the beautiful introduction and the excellent recitation. Am I audible? Can you see the presentation? If you can see the presentation, say yes in the chat. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله خالق الوجود من العدم وجاعل النور من الظلم ومخرج الصبر من الألم وملقي التوبة على الندم ونشكره على المصائب كما نشكره على النعم والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created human beings for a single purpose. Does anyone know what the purpose is? Does anyone know what the purpose is? Very good. It is for worship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ To worship me. I have not created human beings and the jinn kind except to worship me. Except to worship me. So we have all been created for one purpose, and that is worship. Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala very clearly explains the creation story of Adam alayhi salatu wasalam in the Holy Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah. The creation of human being in of itself is a very, very significant event in the history of the entire cosmos. In the history of entire cosmos. And one thing that actually makes human beings very, very unique, it is our ability to think. It is our ability to think. Now, we'll be explaining more about this ability. We'll be explaining more about the potential of human beings to think. We'll be going into much depth about the neuropsychology of the brain today, inshallah. And through that, we'll be getting into a lot of different insightful and profound conclusions, inshallah. Now, before directly going ahead, you were given certain regulations, rules, but let me re-emphasize it. Make sure your intention is purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make sure you have a journal with you and make sure you interact with me as much as possible in the Zoom chat. So just have your fingers on the keyboard, because the more you interact, the more benefit that you will gain through it. Otherwise, if you're just listening to the session, just laying on the bed without clearly focusing, what will basically happen is you're going to forget almost all the information that have been taught. So if you're constantly interacting, your brain captures this information because you are also completely virtually involved, right? So make sure you chat with me as much as possible, and don't use social media while in the class, and you will be given an assignment at the end of the class. And I hope you guys have done the assignment, the previous assignments that were given, and make sure you don't turn on the audio. Now, if we are clear with this, say yes in the chat. If you are clear with this, say yes in the chat. Okay. Now let me start by asking you a very, very important question. Okay, a very, very important question. Do you like to sit alone? Do you like to sit alone? Okay, so for the people who said yes, why do you like to sit alone? Or what do you do when you sit alone? What do you do when you sit alone? To think, all right? To introspect, reflect, mashallah. Okay. Now, we actually live in an age wherein we don't even get the time to properly sit down and, you know, just breathe in and breathe out calmly and think about our life. Let me ask you, how long has it been since you looked at the sky properly? How long has it been since you looked at the sky, you know, above you, just looked at it properly and just sat down and thought about the sky? SubhanAllah, someone said years, maybe, right? Years. Like the creation that we are surrounded with, it's actually amazing. It's amazing, right? Now, this is the hadith that we are going to be talking today, inshallah. So the people, if you want, you can note it down, or, you know, I would request you to take a screenshot and then later on write it down, all right? So Abdullah bin Abbas bin Abbas reports, one day I was riding a horse or a camel behind the Prophet ﷺ when he said, "Young man, I will teach you some words. Be mindful of God and he will take care of you. Be mindful of him and you shall find him at your side." Let me read it again. One day I was riding a camel or a horse behind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we say the Prophet, what are we supposed to say? What are we supposed to say? We're supposed to say sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All right. He said, "Young man, I'll teach you some words." And this was actually, you know, the behavior of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the habit of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He never used to waste time. Even if he is riding, you know, he's trying to benefit some other person. He's trying to advise some other person so that another person's life improves, right? The Prophet ﷺ, he sacrificed his entire life for the sake of building and developing and advancing this ummah. So he made use of each and every opportunity that he had. He made sure to use each and every opportunity that he had for the benefit of other people. There's in of itself, there's a deep lesson here for the people who are engaged in da'wah as Muslims. Now he's saying, be mindful of God and he will take care of you. Be mindful of him and you shall find him at your side. At your side is related by or reported by Tirmidhi. Okay. Now the next question I would like to ask you is, how many species are there on this planet? How many species are there on this planet? Can you take a guess? Okay, somebody said millions. Some said some millions. Can we have an approximate value? A little bit more precise. Hundreds of thousands, all right. 9 million, okay. 7 billion, all right. Too much to count. Okay, is it infinity? Okay, some millions, non-observable. Let me ask you another question. So when we look around ourselves, we see different kinds of organisms, right? We see organisms that can fly, birds, the things, the animals, you know, that walk on the land. Then we have the insects. So, you know, let's categorize into three, all right? birds, animals, and insects. All right. So which kind of organism is the most? Is it the birds? Is it the animals, or is it the insects? Which do you think? Obviously, right? The obvious answer is insects. So when we look around ourselves, we see a lot of different kinds of organisms, and the total number of species is 8.7 million. We live on a planet with 8.7 million species. I'm not talking about 8.7 million animals. I'm talking about 8.7 million species. Under each species, we have billions and billions of that particular kind of organism. That particular kind of organism. Scientists have estimated that there are around 8.7 million species of plants and animals in existence. However, only around 1.2 million species have been identified and described so far, and most of which are insects. Right? And that is a bit, scary to even hear for some people, right? Most of the organisms on the planet are insects. That is very true. There are a lot of different kinds of insects. If there are people who are studying zoology, you might have, studied about a lot of different varieties and patterns of organisms, right? Organisms. Now, when we look at the elephant, what is the peculiarity of the elephant? What is the peculiarity of the elephant? Does anyone know what the peculiarity of the elephant is? Yes, the elephant has enormous strength, right? The elephant has enormous strength. And zoologists say that elephants actually have the strength to weigh 700 pounds. They have enough strength to weigh 700 pounds, right? 700 pounds. And their trunk actually has 40,000 muscles. They have 40,000 muscles. It's amazing. It's wonderful. It's fabulous. It's actually mind-blowing. Like, if we just imagine how much 700 pounds is, like, this is mind-blowing. For the people who go to the gym, just try lifting up 100 kilograms, and then you will understand how heavy that is, right? How heavy that is. 700 pounds is unimaginable. It's unimaginable to weight. So I want you guys to think about this. Just close your eyes, think about the strength of the elephant and how Allah created the elephant, and say Subhanallah from the depth of your heart, and type it in the chat. Say Subhanallah and type it in the chat. Just think about the 40,000 muscles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created in the elephant, the structure of the elephant, the functionalities of different organs of the elephant, and how amazing the elephant is, and how many billions of elephants roam our beautiful planet. Think about this and say Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Then we know this organism. What is its name? What is its name? What is this organism's name? It's cheetah, right? We all know it's cheetah. Now, the peculiarity, the unique character of cheetah is that, or the unique ability of the cheetah is that it can run 80 to 130 kilometers per hour. 80 to 130 kilometers per hour, and that is very fast. That is very fast. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this organism the ability to run this fast. And if we see, National Geographic Channel or Animal Planet, the way it runs and the way it coordinates its movement, subhanallah, its locomotive abilities, like it's so amazing. It's so amazing. I used to watch Animal Planet, and I used to be just amazed at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this organism this particular ability. So say subhanallah. Think about this and say subhanallah. Say subhanallah. Now, what I'm making you do a very specific kind of intellectual exercise, and I will explain what this intellectual exercise is. So look at the cheetah, look at its different structure. You can see my mouse, right? So look at its different structure, its spots on its body, its tail, its face, and say subhanallah. Say Subhanallah. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Then we have the eagle, the falcon. Eagle or the falcon, one of its unique abilities is that it can see about 2 miles. Its vision ability crosses 2 miles, and that is amazing. That is amazing. Eagles, all birds of prey, have excellent long distance vision, but eagles stand out. They can clearly see about 8 times as far as humans can, allowing them to spot and focus on a rabbit or other animal at a distance of about 2 miles. About 2 miles, right? Subhanallah. Subhanallah, that is also amazing. That is also amazing. I mean, have we ever taken the time to just look around ourselves and look at the animals around ourselves and, just think how amazing it is? How amazing it is. Then we have this animal. Does anyone know what its name is? Have you seen this animal around you? Just walking in the night and you see this thing, hopping up. Have you seen it? Like, it'll be pretty crazy to see it, right? They're pretty crazy to see it. But this is actually an actual organism that exists on the planet, but it's a microorganism, right? It's a microorganism, and its name is tardigrade. Tardigrade, or it's more, affectionately known as waterbears. Waterbears. And this is considered to be the most toughest organism that is existing in the universe at the moment. The most toughest organism, right? They can withstand the heat beyond the boiling of water. Usually, if you put your hands in the boiling water, man, it's going to pain a lot. Your skin is going to get burned. For usual animals, that's the same scenario. But for tardigrades, it can withstand heat beyond a boiling point of water. It can shrug off vacuum. It can shrug off vacuum of space and doses of radiation that would be lethal to human beings. If you put it in a nuclear reactor, it's still going to survive. It's still going to survive. And now researchers have subjected tardigrades, microscopic creatures affectionately known as water bears, to impacts as fast as a flying bullet. Like, it has a bulletproof body. If you shoot a bullet at it, it's still going to survive. It's still going to survive. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this, organism this particular ability. Subhanallah. Imagine that if a human being had that, like, he would be invincible, right? He would be invincible. Subhanallah. Allah created this particular organism. We live on the same planet as this organism. We don't need to go into outer space to see how crazy. By crazy, I don't mean, stupid crazy, but by crazy, I mean how astonishing, different types of organisms are. Different types of organisms are. There are actually snakes that can fly. We live on a planet in which there are snakes that can fly. There are fish that can fly. There are fish that can fly. If you go to deep, parts of the ocean, maybe the Mariana Trench, you will see a fish that has the ability of bioluminescence. Bioluminescence. What is bioluminescence? It is the ability to produce light, right? It is the ability to produce light. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. And, if you do a little bit more research, you can actually see animals that almost have superpowers, right? Almost have superpowers. Then we have animals that have the ability to change the color of their skin. Chameleons change the color of their skin. Subhanallah. It almost sounds like superpowers, right? It almost sounds like superpowers. So this is actually the world that we live in. This is the world that we live in. We don't really need to, research a lot to find, the magnificence of God. For a true believer, he just needs to get out of his home and just spend 1 minute in nature. Just spend 1 minute in nature and just use his mind properly. A person who does that will never ever be able to deny the existence of a creator. And we have a very powerful argument, and that argument is called as a fine-tuning argument, which we'll discuss later on. Now, the question that I would like to ask you is this: will studying science make you an atheist? Will studying science make you an atheist? The truth is no. The truth in reality is no. All right, no. Science will never ever make you atheist. The people who say that science will make you an atheist are those people who are very ignorant about the philosophy of science. they conflate between a concept called as methodological naturalism and philosophical naturalism. Science is based on methodological naturalism and philosophical naturalism. I do not wish to go into the discussion about the philosophy of science. The people who would like to learn more, please read more about naturalism, philosophical naturalism, and methodological naturalism. All right, and there's actually a quote that says, if you study science at the surface, you might become an atheist because of your ignorance about science. But if you learn science deeply, you're never ever going to be an atheist. There is no possibility for you to be an atheist. And this is exactly what we see with the pioneers of science. The pioneers of science, for example, even if you learn the history of science, the vast majority of the scientists, whether believers or non-believers, did they believe in a God or did they not believe in a God? Did they believe in a God or did they not believe in a God? There were majority, I'm talking about 99%. 99% of them were believers. If you don't believe me, just read a book written by Allan Flew. The book's name is There Is a God. There Is a God. It's a beautiful book. He used to be one of the most well-known atheists. He used to be the most well-known atheist. Then he became a believer, almost with a Christian orientation, but he came to the belief in the existence of God. All right, now this is not a normal atheist. Like, he was a very intelligent, a very intellectual atheist who wrote books propagating atheism for years and years. And finally he came back. Finally he came back to the belief in God. And even Richard Dawkins. Does anyone know Dr. Richard Dawkins? Dr. Richard Dawkins. I don't know whether I should even be calling him a scientist. He's not a scientist. He's a science journalist. That's how another scientist called him. He's basically one of the most well-known proponents of atheism in the modern world. One of the four horsemen of atheism. In an interview, he said that it very clearly seems that the world that we inhabit, the world that we live in, it's designed. There is no way out of this. Like, there is no running away out of this possibility. He says that it looks designed, and then in the interview, just so that he can escape from the possibility of God, he's saying maybe it's aliens, maybe it's that, maybe it's this. These people have a lot of prejudice in their mind towards traditional religion and God, and that's why it leads to them to constantly deny the existence of God. Right? It's not possible for a human being to completely deny God and live a satisfactory, fulfilled life. That's another different topic. We'll not talk about that now. But just understand that if you just look around yourself, there is no way you can deny the existence of God. Even if you believe in the evolutionary theory, even if you believe in multiple different kinds of theories that give primary explanation to the beauty, the pattern that you see in nature, you still have no other possibility other than the root cause being the existence of an intelligent designer. Like, there is no running away from it. Like, if you do a clear-cut analysis of all the arguments that atheists give, the fine-tuning argument, it's one of the most powerful. Anyway, so the more we think about the creation, we get to the beauty of the Creator. Now, in the last session, what was the theme of the last session? In the last session, we talked about doubts. Now, in this session is also very much related to the last session. In this session, we are going to be talking about one primary methodology that we can use to overcome doubts, and that is contemplation. All right, now going ahead, we talked about different animals on this planet. The question I would like to ask you is this: which animal is the most elitist animal on this planet, the most powerful animal on this planet? Which animal rules the world? And the answer is very clear, and that is humankind. And the answer is a human being, right? Human beings rule the world. Now compare yourself to other animals. Like, do you have the ability to weigh 700 pounds? Do you have the ability to weigh 700 pounds? Do you have the ability to change your skin color? No, you don't have that. Do you have the ability to see, 2 miles? You don't have that. Do you have the ability to fly? You don't have that, right? You don't have none of those abilities. You don't have none of those abilities. But then how then human beings can conquer the world? So what is the peculiar characteristic of human beings? Why are human beings the most powerful organism on the planet? Yes, it is the intellectual power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. It is the intellectual power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. There is no other animal on this planet that is as intelligent as the human being, right? We have dolphins, we have monkeys, we have parrots, different kinds of organisms with different levels of cognitive abilities, but no organism can ever come to even near intelligence as the human being. The human mind, it is very, very powerful. It is very, very powerful. The brain, it is actually the most complex object in the universe. And this is actually the quote. It's actually a quote by a very famous scientist. And this is actually, what made me study psychology. Like I think I was in 9th standard, or I was researching about this subject. Now, I really loved learning, and I used to have a journal. I used to learn different facts. I used to go to different YouTube channels, different articles. I would read them. I would write them in my journal. And, I was in a very big dilemma of what to take after my 10th standard. I was planning to pursue computer science because I used to constantly participate in science, fairs and science exhibitions. I used to win, and I used to make, computer related, hardware exhibitory, objects. So I used to think about taking computer science. Anyway, once I was researching and I saw this particular quote, first I thought that computer was actually the most complex things. Like, we have a lot of codes, there are a lot of, terminologies in the field of software engineering, etc. I really love that. But then, I saw this quote, the most complex object in the universe is the human brain. It really captured my heart. It really captured my heart. And then that is the point where in which I took a turn and I started researching more about psychology, which finally led me to become a psychologist. Subhanallah. Anyway, long story. So the brain is actually the most complex object in the entire universe. If you research more about the human brain, like, you would be mind blown. Let's look at a few facts about the human brain, and then we will talk about the methodology. A piece of brain tissue the size of a grain sand contains 100,000 neurons. I'm talking about a grain sand. Now visualize a grain sand in your hand, right? Look at your hand and visualize the size of a grain sand, right? A grain of a sand in your hand. Now, imagine 100,000 neurons there. It's unimaginable, right? It's unimaginable. So say subhanallah. This is how complicated and sophisticated your brain is. Did you have to pay $1 million to get this brain? No. Allah gifted you with this. Your brain storage capacity is considered virtually unlimited. Research suggests that human brain consists of 86 billion neurons. Each neuron forms connections to other neurons, which could add up to 1 quadrillion connections. 1 quadrillion connections. Subhanallah. There is no other way than us to say subhanallah, right? No other way than for us to say subhanallah. If a person comes to you and says you're stupid, that is not true. This is actually the capacity of an average brain. Any average human being has this capacity, but but most people don't utilize the brain, to this capacity, right? Now, brain's information travels up to an impressive 268 miles per hour. That is also amazing. Now, have you ever heard about this quote? Human beings only use, 10% of the brain. Human beings only use 10% of the brain. You probably have seen this while, scrolling on your social media. There's probably a photo of Albert Einstein on the side saying that, Albert Einstein only made use of 10% of his brain. If he made use of 100% of the brain, you could probably, fly into outer space, breathing in vacuum, right? They give a lot of these possibilities. Like, if you use 20% of your brain, you could memorize the books in the entire library. If you use 90% of the brain, you could probably shoot lasers out of your eyes. Right? There are a lot of these pseudo-psychological quotes that are going on in the social media, especially with regards to psychology. If you guys are learning psychology, don't learn it from social media. Don't learn it from social media. There are a lot of false informations, especially with regards to behavioral psychology. They say, if your brain is such and such, if the shape of your face is such and such, you're going to have such and such a characteristic. If you're born in January, then you are going to be a very calm person, right? A very calm person. Like, these are all really stupid, incorrect, inauthentic, information out there. So don't believe all these things. All right, don't believe all these things, especially if you're a student of psychology. Anyway, this is a myth. All right, human beings actually use completely all of their brain, all of the times, even when we are sleeping. Even when we are sleeping, we are still using our brain. Do you know that? Like, the brain is constantly working. The brain doesn't shut down. If the brain shuts down, it's brain death. Just like the heart. Does the heart shut down when you're going to sleep? No, it keeps on working. So, the thing that, the narrative that human beings only use 10% of the brain is totally wrong. It's totally wrong. Human beings use, all aspects of the brain. But with regards to, with regards to the potential, we can say, maybe, he doesn't use full of his potential. Maybe he's just using 50% of the potential. But then, like, what is the measurement here? What is the measurement here? We don't have a standard to properly calculate this. So, I just added in this information so that, you don't fall into believing such pseudoscientific things on the internet. And today, we have a lot of the psychologists say mind tuning, the law of this and the law of that. If you participate in this conference, I will change your life. Have you seen such posters? And they say, I'm a psychologist. Like, I'm a psychologist, mind trainer, mind tuner, right? Mind tuner. Come to this hotel. We have a large conference. If you participate in this one conference, your life is going to change completely. You're going to be a superhuman. Right? Like, subhanallah. And the sad thing is, there are people who believe in all these things. The best mentor, the best life coach in the entire history was the Prophet ﷺ, and the best tool to change your life is the Holy Quran, period, no doubt, and that is the full stop. All right, there is not going to be any other tool in the entire human civilization developed by any other human being that is more powerful than the Holy Quran. Right? No other tool can change you as much as the Holy Quran. Understand this very clearly. And then we have the law of attraction. Subhanallah. There's actually a lot of problems with this particular theory, especially when it comes to aqidah. When you say, there are people who read the book Alchemist, and then because they don't have clear-cut theological training, I won't blame them. They will be good human beings, mashallah. They want to help the society. But then they will read these books, and then they will start developing their own conclusions. I do remember participating in such a conference. I do not wish to name that person, but may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them. They were actually trying to justify law of attraction with a few Quranic terms, with a full Quranic terms. We have Joseph Murphy's book, right? Like, okay, there might be certain aspects of it that are acceptable to us, but then there are clear aspects that are not acceptable. When you say that, if you visualize something and the universe gives it to you, that is clear-cut kufr, that is clear-cut shirk. And it is very much connected to pantheism and monism. These are different philosophies. But the thing is, a lot of these mind-tuning, people who say they're psychologists, they really don't have clear-cut theological training, right? They clearly don't have theological training. They might have read some books on Islam, all right? And then say, then they, quote some verses from the Holy Quran or the Hadith to prove the law of attraction. While they don't clearly understand what they're doing here. Now, there are certain aspects of this. For example, in shakartum la'azidannakum, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, if you have gratitude, I will increase my favors upon you. And this is true. This is very true. And there are certain aspects of law of attraction that can be Islamically valid if we put that into clear-cut theological framework. Okay, I think I have to get tangent here. But what I'm saying is this. Don't fall for things that are propounded as psychology on social media. Do well established research. Okay, look at science journals, look more deeply into the field of psychology rather than just believing, all the things that you see on the internet. There are a lot more books that have a lot more problems. There's actually a good documentary about law of attraction on YouTube. If I get time, I will tell the coordinators to forward it to the group, inshallah. It's actually a very good documentary. The very people who founded this particular, who wrote the book, who wrote or conceptualized the concept of the law of attraction, they in of itself really had financial objectives. Anyway, that's a huge dark history. We are not going to go into that, since that is not our topic for today. Anyway, just a disclaimer, we may not be able to complete this topic today, so we'll also be having this as the next topic for the next class. So just a disclaimer. Now going ahead, the human brain actually has a capacity to generate approximately 23 watts of power when awake, and has about 1 billion neurons, which can store up to 2.5 petabytes of memory. 2.5 petabytes of memory. The human brain cells can hold 5 times as much information as the encyclopedia. So we got to utilize our brain. There are a lot of factors around us that are not allowing us to do so. The number one factor is social media. Psychologists say that if you utilize social media a lot in your life, you're going to have a span of attention less than a goldfish, right? Less than 4 seconds. Have you ever felt, you not having the ability to concentrate for long? Did you ever feel that you're not able to focus for long? The answer is, the clear cause is your use of social media. If you just stop using social media, if you just do a detox, like, you will clearly see a lot of improvement. It literally damages your brain, right? All right, this topic with related to social media and the brain, it is coming in the upcoming sessions, so we'll go ahead now. So Allah is actually constantly asking us to think and ponder. Allah is constantly asking us to use our minds, right? Islam is actually a religion that appreciates using of the mind. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking, will you not reason? And this is a very, very powerful question. In another verse, in chapter number 8, verse number 22, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, the worst of living creatures in the sight of Allah are the deaf and dumb who do not use reason. Right? There are a lot of arguments in the Holy Quran Allah puts forth for proving the existence of a creator. The Quran is a very, very intellectual book. It's a very, very powerful, it's a very, very intellectual book. If you read Surah Al-Baqarah, one of the first arguments that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to prove his existence, or to prove the magnificence of the God, to prove monotheism, it's actually the fine-tuning argument. Right? I think it's in verse 22. It's in verse 22, if I remember correctly. It's right after Ya ayyuhan nas wa'budu rabbakum khalaqakum walladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun alladhi khalaqa lakum al-arda firashan wa samaa'a bina'an wa anzala min as-samaa'i ma'an fa akhraja bihi min ath-thamarati rizqan lakum. It's amazing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pointing towards how the sky was created, right? How he brings rain from the sky, etc., right? And then he's asking us to properly think. Subhanallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran, like, there are a lot of verses in the Holy Quran where Allah is pointing at different natural phenomenon and asking us to think. أفلا ينظرون إلى الإبل كيف خلقت وإلى السماء كيف رفعت وإلى الجبال كيف نصبت وإلى الأرض كيف سطحت. Powerful ayat. In Surah Al-Nazi'at, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, أأنتم أشد خلقا أم السماء بناها رفع سمكها فسواها وأغطش ليلها وأخرج ضحاها والأرض بعد ذلك دحاها أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها والجبال أرساها. So that it goes on. It goes on, right? The ayats goes on. There are a lot of chapters in the Holy Quran that ask us to look at different natural phenomena and make use of our mind. To make use of our mind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is constantly asking, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Do you not think? Do you not ponder? Do you not use your mind and just think? Just think, subhanallah. Subhanallah. If we just utilize our minds, like it's impossible for a person to become an atheist. And you know, a lot of the atheists, they just believe in atheism because of not having a proper idea on what atheistic conclusions are. They really don't believe in atheism after methodological research, right? Methodological research. You know, there was a guy, you know, he came to me, he said, he was an atheist, and I asked him why he's an atheist. He was a Muslim. And he said, the reason why he became an atheist was because Allah told us to wear our pants above our ankles. And then the question he had was, why is the creator of the universe telling us to wear our pants above our ankles? Like, subhanallah, like, is that the reason why you say, or why you became an atheist? Like this is like really astonishing, right? Like that was his reason for jumping into atheism. I know women who say that they became an atheist because they couldn't reconcile between hijab and the modern world, right? And like that is the reason why you are denying the existence of a creator. I mean, are you that ignorant? Subhanallah. So a lot of people who claim to be atheists, like they have really irrational arguments. Okay, if you truly are not able to reconcile between hijab and you know, the modern world, then that actually, you know, you should do proper research. You should do proper research rather than jumping into a conclusion about denying the existence of God. And I was just thinking, like, what is the relationship between denying the existence of a God and, you know, you having problems with hijab? Like, what is the relationship here? Like, existence of God, like that's a whole different topic. That's a whole different topic. And you having a problem with not wearing hijab, that is related to modernism, that is related to postmodern philosophies like liberalism and feminism. So that's a whole different topic. So a lot of people who claim to be atheists, like they don't do proper research. They really don't do proper research, right? And even the people who do the proper research, they do it with a lot of prejudices and a lot of biases. And I've seen, you know, guys who claim to be atheists just to look cool, you know, just to look, you know, intellectual. Have you seen such people? You know, people who claim to be atheists so that, you know, they can appear intellectual in the class, right? Because, you know, just to show that they are not backward, just to show that, you know, they are not barbaric, they're not following, you know, pre-modern religions, right? Like, subhanallah. And these people, you know, there's actually a very fun experience. I usually keep my personal life to myself, but maybe, you know, you might also find it astonishing. And the thing is, you know, before coming to Egypt, you know, I took 1 month off from, you know, all my other activities, and, you know, I was just traveling around Kerala, you know, visiting different masajids, you know, engaging in dawah activities. And now, you know, there was actually a particular masjid, and, you know, I was actually wearing a very old cloth. Okay, I was wearing a jubba because, you know, I was on long travel. I did not take a lot of clothes. So, you know, I had a lot, you know, an old jubba. Now I was sitting in the masjid, and, you know, right after the salah, you know, we talked to a few of the youth. Now I was talking in Malayalam, all right? I was talking in Malayalam, and there was another guy, you know, sitting in the back, and he says, you know, I don't speak Malayalam, you know, I'm studying, you know, my bachelor's in commerce in this university. I only speak English. And like, he was just looking at me like, you know, we were some, you know, lower, like, you know, some inferior, some uneducated, you know, people. And this is really funny. Like, there are people like who speak English to feel that sense of superiority. And they think that the people who don't speak English, they're all inferior. So then I changed my languages. I started speaking English. When I started speaking English, he started speaking Malayalam. It was really funny. Right? Subhanallah. And, you know, after he went, like, we all laughed at this particular thing, right? Now, this guy thought that the people who did not speak English, they were, you know, uneducated, right? They were uneducated. Now, when we started, speaking to him, like when we started speaking to him in English, like this just broke his superiority complex. A lot of these people, they think that Muslims, they are very uneducated. They don't know science, this and that. There was another guy, he used to be in a business school. And, he thought that we were uneducated people. We were uneducated people, right? And then he started using, science. We believe in science. Science is this and that, right? Science is this and that. And I just asked him, like, what is the categorical difference between philosophical naturalism and methodological naturalism? Like, he was silent for the next 1 hour. Like, he was just silent. Like, it hurt his ego when I asked him. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, literally, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He says science, this and that, our God, Ravi Chandran, I don't wish to name that guy here. But anyway, they have a lot of these people, like, which they look up to, who in of itself, like, they have not done proper research, right? Proper research. Anyway, right? Anyway, what I'm saying is these people, they really don't use their minds in the way they're supposed to use them, in a way that they are supposed to use them. All right, we took another tangent here, giving funny experiences. Anyway, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking us to use reason, And if you look at different prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we see them asking people to use their mind, We have the story of a prophet who asked his people to look at the sun and then to look at the moon, right? He said, sun is my God. Then the sun, set and say, how can it be my God? Does anyone know who the prophet was? Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, right? Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam. He's pointing at different idols and he's saying, how can this be my God? It doesn't have the ability to speak, to even move, etc. So the prophet is actually, initiating a very intellectual, reasonable conversation. But very sadly today, we have people who just blindly follow everything. Now in Islam, are we supposed to blindly follow? And we did have a discussion about this in the last class. If some person says something, like, they say this is the Hadith and the Quran, we're not just blindly supposed to believe him. We're supposed to, have an authentication procedure. We are supposed to do an authentication procedure. If we know that something, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said something in the Holy Quran and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said something, then we are supposed to say, Sami'na wa ata'na, we hear and we obey. But if some guy on the street comes to you and says, you have to go to this qabr and you have to worship this qabr, you just blindly believe him? Is that what you're supposed to do? No. And this is actually a huge calamity that has affected our society, that has affected the North Indian, paradigm, I would say, very specifically. Like, it's very sad. It's very, very sad. Right? I mean, if you just properly read the Holy Quran, if you just properly use the minds, you won't be standing in front of an idol. You won't be standing in front of a peer. You won't be standing in front of a demigod, right? You won't be standing in front of all those and worshipping it. You won't be doing that. You won't be doing that, right? Subhanallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is constantly asking us, أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ? So will you not reason? Won't you just use your minds? One of the best way to utilize the mind is to think about the creation. If you think about the creation, you'd obviously understand the creator. If you think about the universe, there is no way you can deny the existence of God. Right? The different mathematical laws that the universe follow. Subhanallah. There are people who look at an iPhone, and they will obviously say this is designed. But then we have more complex, mechanisms that are happening in the universe, and then they say this came out of nothing, and then they say it came out of nothing. Like, how is that even possible? Right? So we got to think about the universe. And very recently, at NASA, they published something. Does anyone remember what it was? NASA published something. Anyone remember what it was? Yes, the pictures of the universe from James Webb Telescope, right? The James Webb Telescope. Beautiful pictures. Now, there is something very interesting that we saw here. And that is this. When, different science, channels, different science pages and groups, they were publishing these pictures. If you look at the comments, there are a lot of people who are saying the power of science, the power of our telescope. Yes, it's true. It's the power of telescope, etc. But very few people were actually appreciating the creator. And this actually makes us think, like, what has happened to these people's brains? Like, what has literally happened to these people's brains, right? Now, I find, like, sometimes, I find it very, very astonishing being a student of psychology. Like, what literally has happened? Like, this is one of the reasons why I don't consider atheism as an intellectual problem. Now I consider atheism as a psycho-spiritual problem. It's a psycho-spiritual problem. It's not an intellectual problem, right? Because there is no sense of intellectuality in it, right? There might be something that looks intellectual on the outside, but when you dive deep into it, like, it really doesn't make sense. It really doesn't make sense. All right. So if we looked at the photos that was published by James Webb Telescope, like, it's astonishing. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's amazing. I spent a lot of time just staring at these images, Subhanallah. Subhanallah, it was amazing. How many of you said Subhanallah by seeing those pictures? How many of you said Subhanallah by seeing those images? And it's literally amazing. It's literally amazing. How amazingly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the universe. وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحَ. Right? Allah has decorated the first sky with beautiful stars. It's in Surah Al-Mulk. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There is no way for a human being to deny God after seeing this. And some Islamic pages, they started posting, Subhanallah, MashaAllah, with these pictures. And then a lot of atheists, they started, criticizing and insulting us. And if you look at the methodology that these people, these liberals, these feminists, these Islamophobes always have, they always have this insultful, superior kind of, conversation. They always laugh, they always make fun of us, etc. This is like a way in which they interact, right? A way in which they interact. Like, this is very, very narcissistic to a degree. Anyway, so if we think about the creation, we will understand about magnificence of the creator. Now, this is the fine-tuning argument. If you guys would like to learn more about it, I would really, really recommend it. There are a lot of books that I would recommend to read. The Divine Reality, written by Brother Hamza Zorses. It's an amazing book, a really wonderful book. There's a lot of arguments. It's not that of a big book. It's a very short book, if I remember correctly, about 400 pages, and it has a lot of good arguments, and fine-tuning argument. The argument of intelligent design is actually one of the most prominent arguments of the book. If you look around us, you can actually see the design in place in the universe, right? If you look at the Big Bang itself, and the scientists say, the astronomers, the astrophysicists, they say that if the Big Bang, it was 1 second forward or 1 second backward, to have literally destroyed all life. If you look at the value of entropy, 4 into 10 raised to 81 joules, right? If it was like the value, the amount was a bit backwards or forwards, a bit less or more, the universe wouldn't exist. The baryon dark matter mass per photon, that value is very, very precise. If it was 1 degree higher or lower, life wouldn't exist. Do you know what Goldilocks zone is? Goldilocks zone. Have you heard about the word Goldilocks zone? Goldilocks zone. Anyone heard about this word? Goldilocks zone is a very, very powerful concept. It's a very, very powerful concept. And it says that the Earth is actually at a very, very precise distance. At a very, very precise distance from the sun. If it was like 1 meter far from the sun, or 1 meter near to the sun, life wouldn't exist. If it was 1 meter near to the sun, then all life would completely be destroyed. Right? All life would be completely destroyed. If it was just 1 degree far away from the sun, what would happen? It'll get cold, and life wouldn't exist. Right? So we see a lot of these beautiful designs that we see in the universe. We see a lot of beautiful ways in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has structured the entire universe. If you look at the constants and the quantities of these different laws, there is no way we can deny the existence of God. There is no way we can deny the existence of God. And that is why we say, the more you learn science, the more closer to God you get, if you learn it in a proper way. If you learn it in a proper way. Now, this is where we come to our next, the core topic of today, and that is contemplation. That is contemplation. Contemplation is actually ibadah. Using our minds is actually an ibadah. All right? Allah constantly asks us to use our minds. Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyya, he stated in his notable work, Miftah Dar Sa'da, the key to the house of bliss, he says, deep thought, contemplation, is the beginning of and the key to all good. It is the best function of the heart and the most useful to it. So the best way to use your minds is through the methodology of contemplation. So take some time out of your day to sit silently and calmly to think about the creation. Just think about the creation. Just look at your hands. All right, right now do it. Right now do it. Just look at your hands in a way that you have never looked at it before. Just look at the different patterns in your hands. Just look at the different lines in your hands. Just look at the structure of your fingers. Just look at your nails. Just look at the color tone of your hand. Just look at the functionalities of your hand. Just turn your muscles in your hand. Just bring it closer, tighter, and then leave it. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. For the people who are studying mechatronics, for the people who are studying robotics, just ask them, how many years of programming and coding would it take to just have this function? Just have this function. The human body itself has a lot more complicated functions. The digestive system, it's basically like a chemical factory. It's more complicated than any chemical factories that we can ever find in any part of the globe. Any part of the globe. The digestive system, the reproductive system, the nervous system, the neural system, which is a whole different world, the neural system. The neural system is an entirely different world. If you spend your entire life studying about the neuron, you would still not be able to completely comprehend the internal, intricate complexity of it. Like, that's how amazing the human body is. That's how amazing the human body is. And now look around yourself and look at different organisms. Look at their abilities. Look at the trees and look at the stars, right? Look at the mountains. Look at the mountains. Look at the rivers. Subhanallah. And I'm just talking about the planet Earth. I'm just talking about the planet. If you spend thousands of years just researching about planet Earth, you would still not be able to completely comprehend it. You would still not be able to completely comprehend it. I'm just talking about planet Earth. What about other planets? What about other stars which are billions and billions of times bigger than the planet? Right? Subhanallah. And then we have, this is just the solar system. If you look at other stars, there are stars which are billions and billions of times bigger. Billions and billions of times bigger than our stars. Right? Billions of times bigger than our sun. Right? And then if you look at the Milky Way galaxy, it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing, like literally mind-blowing. We can't comprehend. Like, our mind does not have the power to comprehend this. Our mind is that weak, per se, right? Right? And then we think about the entire cosmos. And then we think about the theory of multiverse. Subhanallah. And this is all the first heaven. The first heaven. How many heavens are there? How many skies are there? Subhanallah. 7, right? 7. And the second heaven is bigger than the first heaven. The second heaven is bigger than the third heaven. Sorry, the third heaven is bigger than the second heaven. The fourth heaven is bigger than the third heaven. The fifth heaven is bigger than the sixth heaven. The sixth heaven is bigger than the seventh heaven. Then the Arsh and Kursi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is much bigger than that. You know, it is not possible for us to comprehend this. It is not possible for us to comprehend this. Then think about the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then think about the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the entire things in existence, all things in existence, all things in existence. This is very powerful. And now think about your privilege. You getting to talk to such a powerful being 5 times a day in prayer. Imagine the privilege we all have as Muslims. Subhanallah. If we actually think about this, like, we won't literally be, thinking about anything else while in prayer. The thing about khushu', The thing about khushu', a lot of people say, I'm not getting khushu'. If you just think about who you are standing in front of, like you will literally tremble. You will literally tremble out of fear and love. Subhanallah. So in the next class, we'll be talking about the methodology of contemplation. How can we utilize our minds in a very productive and efficient way, to come to the conclusion about the magnificence of the Creator. There's a clear-cut 4-step methodology that will lead to a step called as a spiritual cognition. This methodology was developed by Dr. Malik al-Badri, and it is very clearly rooted in Islamic intellectual tradition. We'll discuss more about this later on, inshallah. Now, we are stopping the session here, but we're continuing with another different topic, and that is this. What is the date today? What is the date today? Okay, it is Muharram. It is Muharram, right? It's Muharram 1. There's actually New Year. Now, have you guys seen New Year posters? Have you guys seen, any kind of indication that it is New Year on the social media? If it is the English calendar, we would have the huge celebration on Burj Khalifa, and everyone would literally be waiting, for the year to change, right? But why do we not give significance to the Islamic year? That's a big question we need to ask. Why do we not give any significance to the Islamic year? Why? And this is actually the deep-rooted influence of secularism. Influence of secularism. I would request you to read a book written by Dr. Joseph A. Masjid, Islam and Liberalism. It's a beautiful book, and it handles this topic in much depth. Anyway, this means that 1 year has passed from your life. 1 year has passed from your life. And I just want you to think, just close your eyes and think about what you did in the past 1 year. Just close your eyes and think what all you did in the last 1 year. How did you spend your time? How did you spend your time? Was it effective? Was it productive? Or was it just wasting my time? Was I just wasting my time? Let me ask you this question. If you're satisfied with the last 1 year, say yes in the chat. If you're not satisfied in the way you have used that 1 year, say no in the chat. Say no in the chat. And life is actually very short, my dear brothers and sisters. We may think that we'll get another chance, but seriously, we won't. We won't. We don't know how short our life is. We just delude ourselves. We just delude ourselves into thinking that we have a long life ahead. In reality, we don't have a long life. We don't have a long life ahead. This might be our last year. What if this was our last year? I just want you to truly believe this. What if this is my last year in life? Have I reached the targets that I've set for myself? Have I reached the targets that I've set for myself? And the next year, when we get to the next year, a lot of people that are with us, they're not going to be there with us. Okay, we have planned the IPD course for 1 year, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people here, okay, I should not say sure, but then, there's a high probability that, all the people that joined us on this journey will not be there while we end the journey. They might be right under the soil that we walk upon. And a good example of that is a few of my friends who died, right? When other people die, when we just open the newspaper and we see other people die, yes, we know death is real and everything, but then, we may not come to the full realization of how true it is. But then when our close friends die, that is when we truly come to this realization. A lot of my close relatives also died last year. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. So we live in such a world, and this is the reality of the dunya. So we got to utilize the next 1 year to the best as we can. To the best as we can. Let me ask you this. How many of you are ready to make use of the next year to the best of your capacity, to the best of your ability? If you are, say me. And the best way to do it is the IPD course. It's not that hard. Just join the sessions at the end of every week and just do the tasks that are given to you ideally. Now, there's actually a huge gift that are going to be given to you it was prepared by the coordinators of the IPD course, the guides in the COJ community, and they worked really hard to prepare a journal for you guys. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them all. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of those who worked hard day and night to actually prepare the journal. Now, if you want to buy a journal from outside, it's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to cost at least 1,000 rupees, at least 1,000 rupees. Now, I'm talking about not the normal diaries. I'm talking about psychologically designed diaries, which clear-cut columns for you to write and everything. It's going to cost at least 1,000, right? If you're looking at premium journals that were designed by, psychologists and psychiatrists, it's going to cost, near to 5,000 to 10,000. Now, the journal that is going to be sent to you, it's a very, very beautifully designed journal. If it was on the market as a product, I would say it's going to cost maybe near to 8,000 or 10,000, because it's that beautifully done. It's that beautifully done. So let me appreciate, first of all, the people who worked hard for that. I do not wish to name you guys, because I know you guys don't like to be named, to protect your intention, but may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you abundantly, because a lot of people's life are going to be changed because of your work. Now, more about this particular journal, how to utilize this diary, will be explained by Sister Faria, inshallah. So, Sister Faria, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so is my screen visible? Is my voice audible? Okay, so 1 second. Okay. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Today, I'm going to present you guys about the journal that the team of COJ has prepared. This is named as My Tazkiyah. So, what is Tazkiyah? Tazkiyah is self-purification and purification of the soul. This is a very deep subject in Islamic psychology, and you can research more about it if you are interested. So this is the diary that the team has prepared, and you can get it printed. And so let's begin with the next page. This is the page that we have designed. This is the year 1444 AH. AH is after Hijrah, in the year of Hijrah. Then, okay, how to use this journal. So, as Muslims, we are aware that the purpose of our life is to worship Allah. We are only going to be in this dunya temporarily, so we must accomplish our objectives. Be a productive Muslim, make the most of the time here, and thus prepare for Jannah. To do this, we must create a plan, allocate our time, and put efforts into it. Your journal keeping habit will undoubtedly be helpful for it. COJ offers a journal that was created specifically for the Islamic Personality Development Program and is based on the Hijri calendar, which is being neglected nowadays. This will help you keep track of your salah, keep gratitude journaling, plan your days, and take notes for IPD and Muhasabah sessions, which are the part of the IPD program. It also features monthly reviews, a guide to memorizing the Quran, and reminders. This journal was created in a way that will undoubtedly help you to be accountable and responsible, helping to develop a strong personality. So you can, there's a page provided in this journal, which you can scan if you have any feedback or suggestions to improve our journal. You can always drop them down in this Google form provided here. So this is the Hijri calendar for those who are not aware of it. Muharram, Safar, Rabiul Awwal, Rabiul Thani, Jamadul Awwal, Jamadul Thani, Rajab, Shaban, Ramadan, Shawwal, Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah. So the English meaning of those are also, side by side available to you. So you can learn it and know the meaning as well. The next is Arabic numbers. So in this whole journal, we have used Arabic numbers and avoided using English numbers so that you can learn Arabic numbers and be aware of them. And most of us, we are not, maybe some of us are not so well aware of these numbers. So when we are following the Quran, we are doubtful of which page number we are in. So this might help you. So the English transliteration is also given, the Arabic wording is also given, and the Arabic numbering is also given. So only 31 days is given here. If you want to read more, there are always links available on the internet. So this is the next page, which is the New Year resolutions page. And you can write down your resolutions here, which you want to accomplish this year. So drop them down here, and you can reflect on them at the end of the year. So this is the first page of Muharram, and this after the first page is the monthly goals. So you have any monthly goals like okay, I want to have this competitive exam preparation done in this month, and I want to complete memorization of Surah Mulk, something like that. So you can drop them down always here. Empty space is given to you so that you can doodle, write anything in any way you want, and no restrictions on it. So the next page is, this is how your basic page will look like. Yeah, so this is how your basic page looks like. This is Muharram, and this is the date 1, and this is the quote along with whoever from wherever we have taken it. So, and this is the goals of the day. So you have the goals of the day, like I have to cook this, or I have to accomplish that task, I have to design this, etc. And this is the Salah tracker, which is, you can track your Salah, Fajr done, Zuhr done, Asr done, Maghrib, Isha. And this is the reminders to myself. If you want to remind yourself anything, like, okay, I have got to get this inverter fixed today, or, I have to complete this task today, etc. And what I'm grateful for today. The list is endless if you contemplate, but you can be grateful for what you have done in that day. Okay, I am grateful that I didn't shout on my parents when I was angry. Okay, I'm grateful that I had, Allah gave me that power to control my anger, and etc. The list goes on. So then this is the Muhasaba Meet page. After at the end of each month, you'll have 4 pages as these, so that each month has 4 Muhasaba Meets, and you can take down your notes here of the Muhasaba Meet, or anything you learned from that Muhasaba Meet, or any inspiration you got from that Muhasaba Meet, etc. And then you can, this is the next page, which is the Sunnah prayer tracker. So for people who are not well versed in Arabic, there's always an English translation given here. So this is the Sunnah prayer tracker, which is, Sunnah prayers. What are Sunnah prayers? In addition to obligatory prayers, we have Sunnah prayers. So in Fajr, we have 2 Sunnah prayers, pre-Fajr, pre-Fard. In Zuhr, we have 4 Sunnah prayers, pre-Fard, and 2 Sunnah prayers, post-Fard. And Asr, we have 2 Sunnah prayers, pre-Fard, 4 Sunnah prayers, pre-Fard, and Maghrib, we have 2 Sunnah prayers, post-Fard, and Isha, we have 4 Sunnah prayers, post-Fard. Okay, I'm getting confused. Okay, I'll leave that up to you. So this is how how can you use it? If you have read your Sunnah prayer, you can just tick mark it. So this line has 15 circles, then it has more 15 circles. So it completes what 30 days. So as Hijri calendar, it depends on the moon. We can't exactly say that whether this month has 30 days or 31 days. So an additional 31st day option is given here. So these are 30 days. You complete 30 days here, and this is the 31st day which you can use. So this is for Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha. And then, okay, sorry. I'll correct that. And this is the ayah and day. So what you have to do is you have full freedom to whatever you want to do here. If you want to write down, if you want to contemplate on an ayah, you can, tick mark it if you have contemplated on an ayah on a certain day, and which verse was it, and which surah was it. Or if you have, got inspiration from an ayah, and, told that ayah to someone and inculcated that ayah into your day, you can tick mark it. So this is as your wish. Whatever you want to, have the objective, you can have it. And this is the IPD notes session. This page will be 8 pages per month. So you can, have the IPD notes here itself. And yeah, 8 pages is not enough for some, and it will be enough for some, but we'll also provide additional only these pages so that you can get it Xerox if those are not sufficient for you. Okay, so this is the monthly review page where have your monthly review, like what was the most grateful moment that I in this month, and what was the lesson I learned during this month, and what can I improve, and things I want to remember, like, okay, I should not shout when I'm angry, I should drink water, I should keep calm, I should do this or do that, or practice this or practice that. And this is the Sunnah tracker, a Sunnah fasting tracker. And if you have fasted on any of these days, you can just circle it, or star it, or anything like that. And then this is the calendar with the important dates. So this is the start of Muharram. Today is the 1st, and it's the start of Muharram, which is a secret month, and it's also the start of the Islamic New Year. And on 9th and 10th, we all know we have to fast, and the 13th, 14th, 15th are the white days, which are the Sunnah fasting days. And these are the important dates which you have in this month. And okay, so this is the end of our slideshow, and my Tazkiyah will be released today at 5 p.m. IST, and the link will be shared in all my COJ groups, and if you're in all the COJ official WhatsApp groups, and if you're not added to the COJ official groups and you have come to this Zoom meeting through ISIB groups, you can always contact the given email below for for this tracker. So the mistakes, I'll change it, and yes, so yeah, any doubts? Yeah, so I forgot one thing. So you have to get this printed, and these are only 50 pages, which should be minimal for you. It depends on the Xerox shop you go to. So if it is made in such a way that if you get it printed in black and white also, you can enjoy the most aesthetics of the book. And if you get it printed in color, it won't take much cost also, because some of the Xerox shops take, if the background is colored, they charge more. If the background is white, they don't charge more. So it depends on the shop you visit. So you have to get this printed. It's just 50 pages, and every month we will provide you with the next month is Rajab, so we will provide you with the Rajab PDF 5 days before Muharram ends, inshallah. So this is not a digital book. You have to get it printed and used. And any more doubts? Okay, yes, this will be given in a PDF format, so you can get it printed. And also what you have to do is, task you have to get it printed and post in the Ummah group saying that you got it printed, the picture of the Xerox that you have gotten printed. Yeah, you have to fill the Google form only if you have any suggestions, or how we can improve this, or if you have any feedback. You can always scan the QR code with your phone. After you get it printed, it's physically in your hands, right? So you can scan this with your phone, and or else you can type this URL into your Chrome or Google, and then you can avail that Google form and fill in your feedback. We always appreciate feedback. It totally depends on you. It's not compulsory. It's it totally depends on you. So this is the email for if you want to contact. This is the email, companions of Jannah 2022@gmail.com. Hope it's visible. If yeah. Oh, that's a nice idea. We can add Hada Salah too. Yes, we can do that. 50 pages for 1 month. Okay, so I'll end here. If you have any more doubts or queries, you can always tag us in the COJ Ummah group and ask us the query, or if you're not in those groups, you can contact us on this email provided here. Yeah, so I'll take notes of what, you just send your feedback on the Google form provided there, because, this chat will be, it's hard to search in the chat. Jazakallah khair for your patience. I'll end the screen share.
Jazakallah khair, Sister Faria, for the wonderful presentation. I hope this journal will benefit most of us, and I guess you can get it printed as soon as possible. Now we would like to conclude the session. For that, I would like to invite Sister Fadia.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. We have come to the end of another wisdom-filled, insightful, enlightening session. Indeed, the one who looks at the creation, observes and reflects on them is going to get closer and closer to the Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Waiting for the next session on this beautiful, beautiful topic, inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Brother Wafi Shihad, for this eye-opening session. Jazakallah khair, Brother Abdul Rahman, for the melodious Qirat, Sister Deena for her great moderation, and Sister Sahla for her wonderful introduction. Jazakallah khair, Sister Faria, for the wonderful presentation on the journal, and I hope we all can use it to the fullest, inshallah. Jazakumullahu khairan to all the amazing brothers and sisters who joined here today for the sessions and listened attentively. Hope you all made most of this session and will make sure that you all follow this in your lives forever. May Allah include us all among His slaves who constantly contemplate about Him and His creation and become subhanallah. May Allah accept all our efforts and keep our intentions pure. May Allah unite us in Jannatul Firdaus like He united us in here. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.